My message and the message of my campaign is very clear. We now have a government that is completely out of control, and yet it aims to control every one of our lives in the legislation they're now passing. Nancy Pelosi is the head, and she is at the reins of this abomination that's going on. One of the things I think is important, we all know what this control we're talking about is. And of course, all of us know the deficits, the debt, everything they're taking on. We also know this control issue, and of course, right now, we're talking about healthcare. And imagine the audacity of a Congress that had all of us in the streets in August saying this 1,100-page bill is way too complicated. So what did they do? They decided to add 800 pages to this bill. And I can assure you, none of it is about reform. There is no tort reform because the trial lawyers own Nancy Pelosi. And there is no reform. There is nothing but layers of bureaucracy upon existing layers of bureaucracy that have led us to the place we are in healthcare. So this control issue is very big. And imagine, once the government controls our healthcare and our energy use, because cap and trade, as you know, has already passed under the radar. We have no idea what's in that. We got an inkling of what was in the healthcare bill. I've got a feeling if the Congress people ever take a look at this, which they've had a tendency not to, I think everyone will be shocked because I think it will have the same amount of control over our energy use that we have now in front of us over healthcare. So I want Nancy Pelosi to go. I addressed this conference after the 2008 election, and I brought up 3 issues that I thought were extremely important, and we are seeing them right now. The first was the fairness doctrine. They aren't calling it that, but look at the attacks right now on Fox, on Glenn Beck, on Rush Limbaugh. We are under assault, so freedom of speech is not far away from being controlled by Congress. Yes. I also brought up free and fair elections, and it was because of that free speech we have now, and because of Fox, and especially because of Glenn Beck, that we will now no longer have Acorn doing the 2010 census. Make no mistake, the Democrats are very angry that they have been exposed. And of course, the third issue I brought up then was the redistribution of wealth. And quite frankly, everything that's being done in Congress right now has the subtext of the redistribution of our wealth. But I wanted to bring up quickly the 5 issues that back after the election I said had kind of hit the back burner because nothing was on our minds but the economic crisis. And I had a very distinctly different view than Nancy Pelosi did on all of them. I want to win the war against Islamic terrorism. Nancy wants to cut and run. I want instant surveillance of suspected terrorists and tough interrogation when they're caught. Nancy wants permission. I want secure borders and an end to illegal immigration. Nancy Pelosi wants amnesty and sanctuary cities. And I want the Bush tax cuts to remain. Nancy Pelosi will tax and regulate anything that moves. And last but not least was our energy policy. And remember that all that money spent on stimulus, it's all well and good to give those feel-good green projects, but there's nothing to address nuclear power or domestic drilling, both of which any energy expert will tell you will be required in the next 10 years for us to have energy independence. So quickly, under the idea of terrorism, Nancy Pelosi, military genius, has told our military commander in Afghanistan, no way he's going to get those troops. When it comes to the second issue of our surveillance, we have seen in the last 2 weeks, we have seen what happened at Fort Hood, and we have seen that we are going to have the 9/11 terrorists sitting in New York City in a civilian court. It is time for good security policy and common sense to trump political correctness. And let's give Nancy Pelosi that message. Thank you.
All righty then. What do you think would happen if the war